back, everybody. It's Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob, and we have Sexy Chris here with us.
How we doing?
It's been a little bit.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, we talk,
Sure,
pretty frequently, but it's been a while since you've actually been on the show.
Yes. Was the last time in January when I had COVID, when I had the space helmet on?
I think it might have been.
I think it was. It was a while ago.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was pretty good.
I think I have it again, actually. So this is fantastic.
There's a trend here. Every time you're on the show, maybe that can be our tagline. Come on,
somebody should look into
Speaks, it. You'll get COVID.
Well, you'll already have it. The invite, the invite gives it to you.
I also refuse to take the test. So
oh yeah,
I may have it. I'm not. We're not.
Oh, so you're lucky. Then anymore. You can't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. It only exists if you test for it.
100%.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that. In January of this year. But
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those two where I would know if I ever had it again just because of the way I felt when I had it, and then after I had to get the vaccine for my job, I got the same fucking the chest pain thing, and I was like, all right, so now that's a pretty distinct feature of if I ever feel that again, I know I have it, so I don't need to test for it.
Myocarditis free for how many days now?
Probably, I don't know, since the first week in March.
Perfect.
Yeah. I got a great heart.
Well, you did.
Well, yeah, I did until it became inflamed twice.
Until the government got involved.
Yeah. Until it inflamed when I got COVID in December, and then inflamed again when I got the vaccine in March.
You guys are already demonetized here. Sorry.
We got a strike for
Did you really?
Yeah, well, technically it was a warning. So your first YouTube strike is a warning. Yep. Yeah.
This was from a while ago.
Yeah, it was from
back,
It was episode, what was it, 314 or something like that. Meanwhile, right now, I think this is episode 416 or something like that.
I still just love that it was titled The Sandwich Conspiracy. So we spent most of that episode speaking about what makes a sandwich and open-faced breads and all that crap.
Yeah.
And we got a strike because we did some bullshit.
Your FBI tracker did not appreciate it. Disagreed with you on whatever take you had on the sandwich.
And it was also 9 months later.
Yeah. That was the other thing.
Which I get the amount of the volume of videos that are uploaded to YouTube every day is quite literally absurd. But you're 9 months behind. That's not that doesn't give me much confidence.
They were busy. They were busy rigging an election. They were
yeah. Yeah, they don't care about a show that has a fucking 70 subscribers. But yeah, so one of the other reasons we've been talking, you have a little bit of info. Well, I mean, we all have the info, right? It was all made aware. But I think we wanted to jump a little bit more into the whole Twitter shit.
Yeah. Well, what's your knowledge on this stuff?
So they've done multiple days of this now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first Twitter file dump, I think we briefly discussed where
I was trying to think what you guys have actually talked about. So
we only talked about, I think, the first
one,
the very first one from Matt Taibbi.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was basically an admission that directives were coming from the government, and it's under both presidencies, I believe. Yep. And before Biden was elected, it was coming from his campaign. And then Twitter was actively trying to appease that.
Yeah. And it's interesting the way that they tried to do it, because they have a policy saying it violated their hacked materials policy, which so the way that they sort of dealt with that is that they, for all of the Hunter Biden shit that got shared, they put up this URL that said essentially this is unsafe. If you click on this is unsafe. So they couldn't actually ban it or get rid of it for their hacked materials, because it's not illegal to post hacked materials. It's illegal to be part of the hack of the materials, but it's not illegal to post hack materials. So they sort of like, and it's interesting because this whole time they've changed their policies and changed their rules, and they do this thing called a one-off where they just do a one person or one, you know, one exemption for a specific instance, and then there's no like precedent for doing that before or after. They just do it for whatever they want to. It's very interesting.
That is, yeah, it's basically like they just get to make up their own rules.
It's 100% what's happening. Yeah. And it's also interesting. I have it, I kind of all like written down here. But like the second part was Barry Weiss coming out talking about the blacklists and it's funny because the people, we've all heard the word shadow banned,
right?
And Twitter has said forever, like, we don't shadow ban people. We don't shadow.
That's
ban
why
people.
we're not famous. Because
Yeah,
we got shadow banned.
And they're technically
the
right. They're technically not lying because what they call it visibility filtering. So like you can say like in the common vernacular, it's shadow banned. In Twitter world, and only in Twitter world, it's visibility filtering, which is the same thing.
It's semantics, right?
Yeah, we're arguing semantics.
It's like it's the same thing Fauci did. We didn't fund gain of function research. Well, what do you define gain of function research as? Well, it's actually this other thing. And everyone in the world is like, that's kind of not what it is. But if you change the definition, then I guess
we'll get there. We'll get
there.
And so the other thing that was interesting is that she laid out how Twitter typically handles stuff like this with their strategic response team, but there's like a higher level of that includes Jack Dorsey, that includes this guy Yoel Roth, who's getting just completely shit on, and rightfully so.
Piece of shit.
Just sounds like and so it was Jack, it was Yoel, it was the new CEO Parag Aragwal. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. And
this sounds good. Sounds close.
Vijaya Gadde, Gadde. So it's like this higher level of I guess supervision, this like secret team of people that review stuff. There's no ticket created. There's no like any sort of formal documentation that this even exists. And this is how they sort of like backdoor these sort of one-off decisions. Did you read about this?
So I read a little bit about the second dump from Barry. So I read through the Matt Taibbi, I read through the Barry Weiss, but after the second day, I haven't, like, I've read, like, I've skimmed here and there, but I followed the 1 and 2 very closely, and I haven't followed the other ones.
Yeah, it is so much information. I literally spent like 2 hours reading through all of this last night, and I'm still like, I have a very like surface level understanding. There's
and then
so
if
many...
you're Tim Pool, you think it's stupid.
Oh my god. You know, he's been so disappointing to read some of his stuff. Like, I like him, but whatever. So then the part 3 comes out on the 9th by Matt Taibbi talking about Trump's removal, like the first part of it. And essentially, like, Twitter had this policy for a long time. I think they at least publicly put it out in 2018 or 2019 that said, like, the information that world leaders are putting out, let me see if I wrote this down, like removing the tweets and blocking world leaders who have important info that people should see. Like, they say they're essentially not going to do that. So, like, again, this is where like the exception comes in when Donald Trump gets banned, because it's like they have this thing in 2018 where they come out and say, we're not going to block world leaders, we're not going to remove their tweets, we're not going to do X, Y, and Z, and then they just go against their own shit. Again, this one-off exemption stuff that they do just for a particular person.
And is there anything on the books for that, like the one-off exemptions? Like, is that on the books as like a thing?
I don't know,
because technically, right, like, if they have a written policy that says like, we will not do this, but they have this like committee that makes exceptions, technically on the books they don't do that, right? So that's what I'm kind of getting at, is like, if they also have a written policy that there is a committee that does exemptions for shit like that, then it's a really sketchy way to operate and get around all of the bullshit.
It sounds like, or at least from my reading of it, it sounds like that the standard operating procedures was handled by this one committee, and then anything that they didn't necessarily want to make public was handled by the group of 4 of them.
Okay.
And it sounds like there's essentially no rules to that. They just did whatever they wanted to do, which, whatever, that's their own private company. And the issue here to me is it's not that they did that stuff. It's that they're pretending to be one thing. They're saying one thing and completely doing the other. And it's like, there's no consistency. I think this is why it was so important for Elon to buy this company. Yeah. Because he can say, wait, like, time out, guys. Like, this is not, like, let's resume or get some order back to this fucking chaos that you guys have created in this company.
Right. Yeah. And it truthfully, like, it's almost like lightning in a bottle, right? Like you needed someone, you didn't need someone like Elon Musk. You needed Elon Musk to do this. You needed someone who was a multi-billionaire, who was non-partisan, and who was more focused on truth and like bottom line shit. Like, find me how many of those people actually exist in the world, and it might literally just be Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it might be a one-of-one situation.
That are willing to
exactly. Yeah.
They're willing to like publicly put their face out there to.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, he's created, just as an aside really quick, I know you're going to get to another point, Chris, but like, he's just created such a fascinating thing where he is like the king of renewable energy and alternative, whatever. And now he's bad because he fucking bought Twitter.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable watching these people fucking spin circles.
Yeah. That I saw, who was the guy that used to be the baseball reporter that like lost his fucking mind?
Oh, Keith Olbermann.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw he posted a picture that was like, fuck Tesla sucks, check out my new car I just bought. And it was like a Chevy Volt. And everyone was like roasting him in the comments, being like, yo, your car sucks, bro. Like, Teslas are way better.
It's a supreme vehicle.
Yeah.
And the another interesting part to the third Twitter files is that it goes into a little bit with how Twitter partnered with outside agencies being the FBI, Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, which is
and there was some inner conversation between some people about that particular phrasing of partnered with or consulting experts on or whatever it was. And this struck me as a tax-paying citizen who, we pay for the FBI, right?
Right.
The FBI has a team of, and I think I have it on part 4, but it's essentially 80 people that are devoted strictly to social media. Right. And what they were doing is that you have FBI agents that are monitoring Twitter accounts and sending those accounts to people at Twitter and saying, hey, I think this violates your terms of service.
No way.
So you have people working for the fucking government
that joke about like the FBI guy in your phone actually isn't that far off.
We'll get there. So, and one of them, so this was prior to the January 6th stuff. They break it down because there's like the pre-J6 and then the post-J6. So Matt Taibbi has the pre-J6, and then I think Michael Schellenberger has the post. So people were posting stories about like election integrity, and some people were questioning like the validity of the mail-in ballots. And so the FBI gets a hold of this and starts pushing and trying to influence Twitter to say, hey, mail-in voting is safe. Like, we don't want people out there saying that, mail-in votes aren't getting counted and all this shit. So what they ended up doing, what Twitter ended up caving to the FBI's pressure, and essentially anytime somebody posted a story that was questioning mail-in voting, Twitter would add a URL that said, here's why mail-in voting is safe, and like an additional click this link.
Okay. Kind of like the fact checking at the bottom.
Yes, at the request of the FBI. Again,
Wow.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it's interesting also that and he was very clear. Matt Taibbi was very clear. He said that nothing came in from the Trump campaign about the elections. Nothing. They didn't ask him to do anything. There was certainly some influence on either side. And I think part of the first files that were released, they go into like the actual monetary breakdown of who's giving money to where. And it's like 98 point something percent of contributions from Twitter were to Democrats. It was almost $1 million. So like to even, and it was like 1.5% or something fucking stupid. To Republicans, just the difference in I guess sway or opinion of people that work there, and which way they lean politically. All right.
Yeah.
Which is again is fine. But it's sort of like puts all of this together.
Right.
Very
And
clearly.
It sets up for like a very weird thing, right? So as you're talking, and I'm thinking too, right? Like you said, it's a private company. You can do whatever. Like people have political leanings, affiliations, whatever. Like, but it's weird and it gets sketchy when it's a thing like Twitter that is a social platform, right? So take a company like Halliburton. I would imagine that something similar, right? Like 98.6% of people at Halliburton are probably Republican, right? Or conservative, on the conservative side. But Halliburton doesn't, it's not like a speech platform, right? Like we don't go onto like Halliburton.com to be like, oh, dude, I fucking hate the Patriots. They suck so bad. Matt Patricia's a fat piece of shit. Like Halliburton is quite literally just a private company, or I don't know if they're public or private, to be honest, but you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, obviously someone could make an argument like it's, they're warmongers, whatever. And they're not wrong, right? Like, I'm not saying Halliburton is a good company, but it's like the first one that popped into my mind that like Twitter is very super left. Like there are companies that are very super right also, but like none of them have to do with creating content on
and
the internet.
releasing news and
Right.
So that brings us to number 4, which was Michael Schellenberger on the 10th of December. And that was the thing I brought up before with it when they released that Twitter released that statement in 2018 that says, blocking the world leaders is not, we're not going to do that because what they're saying is important.
Right.
And then I think part of or what is important for this part is that between January 4th and January 8th, Jack Dorsey was out of the country. He was in France on vacation. So what ended up happening was like he was sort of like being kept in the loop, but a lot of the main stuff at Twitter was actually getting run by this Yoel Roth guy. And he is like anti-Trump to the bone. Like he was essentially where I don't want to say all of it started, but he was really the catalyst that sort of like pushed this over the edge and got Trump banned. So let me look through here. So he's also
Trump, a huge piece of shit, which I know you said we'll get to, but
well, I mean, just
I'm gonna keep reiterating that he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
he's, but it's I don't know if you heard anything about him, but he's big time. He's allegedly, all things point to pedophilia.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
this is the new. That's the new. What's the rule when everything devolves into Hitler? Into conversation, like that's the new, like, and now it all devolves into, oh, you're a fucking
someone like pulled up a bunch of his tweets and stuff that were like super questionable. Chris, did you see any of these?
I've seen. I don't know what you're referring to specifically, but
there's like people went like digging through his Twitter and like found old tweets that were talking about like why like it's okay for 14-year-olds to have sex, and like it was a lot of like not outwardly explicit, like he's not part of fucking NAMBLA or anything, right? Like he wasn't like that, but like his tweets were kind of on the edge of the whole
just
child
softening the boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, groomer.
Yeah, right. There you go. So Trump releases the thing on January 6th, the tweet on January 6th. And on the 8th, he gets banned for risk of further incitement to violence. And so essentially, the internal conversation at Twitter was about how his tweets were being interpreted and received. So like, I don't know if I'm using the right word, or conflating outcome with intent. Like, and Twitter had already, this is a contradiction of what they had said in the past, where they said something to the effect of in 2019 that obviously they can't possibly make decisions based on every possible interpretation of someone's tweets. So they're not going to ban people based on interpretation.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I don't have it in front of me. I don't have exactly, but the stuff that he released on January 8th, he already got the strike on January 6th. And then the stuff on January 8th was so minor. It was, I didn't write it down. But I looked at it, I was like, this is fucking wild that
it was like
it was, oh, here it is.
It's like
something
the OJ
about
thing, right? Like OJ got off on the murder, but he went to jail for 10 years for like theft or whatever, or armed robbery.
it was something like
You know
he
what I mean?
referred.
It's like they tried to get him on January 8th for whatever the fuck else he did for like a back date to the 6th. Like it's just all sketchy, dumb shit.
The banning of him ultimately was not specifically for what he said on January 8th. It was a totality of everything that he had done total, which again is not something that they do.
Right.
They are supposed to address each individual strike for the content in the particular tweet or whatever the release of information is. But they took this, again, just this one off with Trump. That they took the totality of everything that he had tweeted and sort of like the incitement to violence, quote unquote, and used the term, because Trump used the term American patriots, and Twitter interpreted that as rioters. So that was their incitement to violence. Like he said something like American patriots, like stand up and don't go home, whatever. But I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And they ended up banning him. And then in part 5, Barry talks about some of the other world leaders that had legitimately said really fucked up shit. So the Ayatollah of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, said Israel's a cancer and must be removed. He's still good. Tweet's still there. He's still got his account running. The former Malaysian prime minister said that it would be justified to kill millions of French people. But just like this, and there was a whole list of them of just like all of this wild shit where world leaders are saying so much worse stuff. It's not even an interpretation. Like this is literally what they're saying.
Right.
And again, I'm not sitting here like justifying anything that Trump has done and will do in the future. Who the fuck knows? But it's just the same, similar to the Alex Jones thing where they just kind of like picked him and we're like, no, we're done here, and we're going to create new rules so that you're not on our platform anymore.
Yeah.
And the another interesting part about that, at least that I found interesting, was that the following day after Trump gets banned, so I think January 9th, there's a bunch of internal Twitter dialogue. They use this program called Slack. I'm not familiar with it, but it's some sort of internal communication thing.
Yeah.
Where they're like all celebrating with each other that Trump gets banned. And then so they essentially like, we're going after the COVID misinformation people next, or the vaccine misinformation people. So like, again, on this, like, social justice crusade to rid the world of people that have different opinions than them.
Yeah. It's also like really fucking stupid for these people to put this stuff in a workplace chat room. Basically, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Slack is like I don't know if you're familiar with Microsoft Teams, but it's basically the same thing
it
as
keeps
like
popping up on my
team
goddamn computer every 5 fucking minutes. I
Yeah,
don't know anything about it, but it's annoying.
It's an internal communication program, right? Like I use it for my job. Like we just fucking message each other on Microsoft Teams, right? But it's like I would never put something on that is like I don't know, not only just inappropriate, but like I wouldn't conspire against other employees that I work with on a Teams chat or like a Slack channel. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't
bad form.
Yeah, that's just dumb. Like do it on your private phone,
Right.
like via text message or like through a phone call or something. Like I don't know, like maybe because we are a little bit older than most of like the tech savvy world.
You'd assume.
But like when we were growing up, it was don't put that shit on the internet. Like and you watch movies, right? Like you watch mob movies and it's like, you never talk on the phone.
Right.
Like you meet face to face. Like it's little things like that. Like you don't do that. You don't put your conspiracy on the fucking internal Teams chat. You fucking say, hey, do you want to meet for lunch? Yeah. All right, cool. And then while you're at lunch, you talk about it in person together.
And you talk all the shit.
Yes, exactly. Like, I don't know. To me, it seems like common sense, but apparently these people are fucking morons.
Well, now fucking how many percent of them don't work there anymore? So
yeah, that's true.
And the last part that just came out on the 16th from Matt Taibbi, just more connections between the FBI and the FBI San Francisco office, particularly talking about election misinformation tweets. And I think the funniest part, and let me go back a little bit to the initial tweet that Trump posted on January 6th that was caused all the problems, is that Twitter was then battling because they banned that tweet, but then people had screenshotted it and then they would repost it. And so Twitter got into this weird like fighting with each other. They didn't know what to do with themselves because they banned the tweet and they banned the tweet from being reposted, even though some of the people that were reposting it were like critical of Trump. So it was like they were reposting it to talk shit about him, but they couldn't figure out how to like allow it for one side, but you know what I mean? Like
yeah. Without being blatantly
blatantly like allowing it.
Yeah.
So the last piece of this, the FBI assistant special agent in charge in the San Francisco office, his name is Elvis Chan. I just thought it was funny. Pronouns in the bio, he, him, his.
Not His Majesty.
Nope. Just he, him, his. I have nothing else to add or contribute to Elvis Chan other than his pronouns are he, him, his. But he was one of the guys that was working back and forth with
immediately Twitter discredited. I forget what Dan Holloway says all the time, but he's like, anybody with pronouns in their bio is not worth your time. Like they've automatically announced themselves as being morons, so you're not required to speak to them.
This has been again, I'm in the touchy-feely graduate program right now where this is, I mean, I'm telling you, man, this shit is wild. I had a new class that I started in September, and we met 4 times in person. It's the best class I've had so far, but it always starts with put your name on a name tag and put your pronouns on your name tag.
Ugh.
And I've not got the balls yet because I can legitimately get thrown out of this program. I'm being serious. Like that can happen.
Yeah.
For being salty or whatever.
For literally for being like a nonconformist.
For having my own brain.
Yeah.
So I play along. It's fine. But it's just like, oh my fucking God. And I love the they thems. They're my favorite. I've not had the occasion to actually refer to someone as a they them. I can't.
See, that part of it is always weird to me. It's like, so do you think that you're more than one person? Like you want to be a they them. So like is this like a split scenario like with James McAvoy? Like are you Patricia and also fucking the Beast and like all of these things? Like I don't, or are you just trying to be like, I don't need pronouns to be gendered, so like call me they. It's like, all right, well, why not go with one of those made up ones like Zim and Zer? Right? Like, why not use one of those? Like, why? Wait, you don't, that's not good enough for you? You want to be a they? You know, like, I would love to like have a conversation with one of them and find out why. Well, yeah, you're right. But I would want to find out why they chose they, them, and not one of like the fake made up ones.
Why? Because it gets someone to talk to them and ask them a question
too. It makes them feel like important.
Why do you go? Actually, that's probably insulting to ask somebody why they chose those particular pronouns. Though I've learned it is never impolite to ask someone their pronouns. That's something I have learned. You don't want to assume. It's never impolite to ask.
I might just start asking random people what their pronouns are. Just going around. What are your pronouns? I'm
all for it.
I wonder how many people would even fucking know. Because not everyone pays attention to this shit.
Like the young kids would. You know what I mean? Like the kids at the gym would get it because this is the world that they're growing up in.
Right.
But like the adults would be like, what?
Yeah, what the
fuck off?
Are you talking about?
Yeah. Pronouns. My pronouns are fuck and you.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like I recognize that like I'm almost 40 years old. This is not the world I should be operating in, but it now is the world that I'm operating in. So it's in my face all the time. And it's funny because they're not funny, but if you're looking for this stuff, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like at work, we get the like local newspaper, and I am constantly cutting articles out about all of this shit. I'm just, old school cutting articles out about things. But anytime it's trans, anytime it's diversity, equity, inclusion, anytime it's like somebody's racist for doing X, Y, and Z, I'm cutting it out of the newspaper because this is really in your face all of the time. If you're looking for it, if you're not paying attention to it, then it's not. But if you know what to look for and you know sort of like what the trigger words are and what those like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere now.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's weird. I don't want to say it's an indoctrination because I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I think it's like approaching an indoctrination, right?
Now,
like
I'm going to push back on that. Why do you think it's an attempted? Like, why do you like
I think they're trying. Like, yeah. I do think that they're trying to, the same thing with like normalizing kids going to a fucking drag show, right? It's like, it's a family friendly drag show. Yeah. So is Jumbo Shrimp, right? Like, fuck off. That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as a family friendly drag show.
They just had one of those in Concord up here a couple weeks ago. Again, I cut the article out of the newspaper. It was at one of the coffee shops, and it was drag queen story time with kids.
Yeah.
And it's like what it's because to me, and this is where I don't know if maybe I'm just ignorant to all of this. Like, there's a very big difference between somebody who is transgendered and a drag queen. Like a drag queen, as far as I know, has always been, like, historically, I should say always, but historically, my understanding has been that's a gay dude that likes to dress up as, a very like over the top woman with like huge fake boobs and like the makeup and the hair and all of that stuff. Like, that's a different thing,
right,
than somebody like a Caitlyn Jenner. That's a very different thing.
Yeah.
And it's typically, to me, those have always been very like sexual in nature. You know what I mean? So like to say that like, oh, we're supporting the trans community or the LGBTQ whatever, because we're having kids at drag shows, that makes those two things don't connect to me. I don't understand where the connection is there.
Yeah, I truthfully don't either.
Like, you don't see drag queens just walking around in the street. Like, that's not a thing. At least I don't know where you guys live, but
one place I've seen that, and it's P-Town. That's it.
Yeah, but that's like a show. That's a performance. That's a costume.
That's their job.
Yeah, like it's a very strange thing. And yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, I I don't understand why
Yeah,
we're throwing the pink and blue flag up when we're having these drag shows, and it's like, man, this
it
is
would
not.
be, yeah, it's super weird to me. And it's like, that's the hill you want to die on, right? Like it, and I have nothing against like the whole transgender thing. Like if
Right.
people want to get behind that and teach kids at a younger age what transgenderism is, I'm 100% on board with that. Like let them understand what it is also very different than, oh, there's a boy that likes to play with dolls. Oh, that means he's really a transgender. He's really a girl. It's like, no, maybe he just likes dolls. Maybe he's gonna be gay or is gay, right? Like you know, it is what it is. Like, you know, it's not like you become gay. You're so it's like there are so many other possibilities. Why are you going to sit there and pigeonhole? Just let the kid do whatever the kid's going to do.
Right. Let the
And
kid
if
grow
you
up.
want to, if you explain like what exists, maybe that resonates with the kid, and maybe the kid gets to be, you know, 14, 15 years old and goes, you know what? I think maybe I am, like, I do feel like I'm supposed to be a girl. And it's like, all right, cool. Like, do whatever you want to do. Change your name, dress how you want, do what, you know, like I'm cool with that. Like let everyone do like I'm very I guess libertarian when it comes to that sort of thing. Like cool, everyone, you should be able to do whatever you want to do. But like it gets weird when you start forcing that shit on people and like, oh, you don't agree with family friendly drag shows, it's because you're a transphobe.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not it's not quite how this works here. You know, like I don't know, like you said, like it's a very sexualized thing. Like, would you take a kid to a strip club?
Yeah, I wouldn't take my kid to a friggin' like burlesque show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Would
No.
you take your kid? There's also like movies, right? Like you wouldn't take a 7-year-old to go see Deadpool, right? Like it's like it's that like, but you're gonna take the same 7-year-old that you're not gonna watch Deadpool, and you're gonna take him to like a sexualized fucking show. Like what? Where's like there's so
Yeah,
the
I don't.
disconnect here.
I don't see the connection. I don't understand.
Yeah, and people are fucking cunts.
I mean,
Bob, does
like,
this not impact your daily life?
it does not
Yeah.
in any way.
I mean,
I'm
technically,
honestly,
it doesn't impact mine either. I don't have children, but
yeah, I also sometimes I just can't be like I cannot pay attention to what some of the like what these people have to say. It's just too much. But no, there'll be a time where someone will come to me and it'll be a they them or a, you know, we don't really quite know what this one is. It's like good.
Identify as a dragonfly.
How would you like me to treat it? Like,
yeah,
because like and that's how I'll be is like if someone comes in, it's like I'm gonna you need to be 1,000% honest with me. I go, how do you expect me to act and treat you? Well,
right.
what do you mean? It's like, hey, you know what? Then maybe this isn't the right place for you.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you mean you wouldn't pick a cake for the gay couple?
They just won a lawsuit. I just saw something about that. I think they just won a lawsuit. Yeah, I think that.
Huh.
I think so. Don't quote me on that.
I would be interested. Maybe this is something for you in your grad program right now. Is it a section of psychology, or is it general psych?
It's school counseling. So it's very
okay. So I have a proposal for you that when it comes time for whatever like research project you have to do, and also you obviously don't have to do this because this would require actual research versus like whatever other thing you could probably do to get by just to get the degree, because at least Bob and I have been through grad school. Like it's not that
I don't think I'll stop you before. I don't think I actually have to do any like actual, maybe I do, but I don't think in terms of like the heavy lifting of sending out surveys and all that shit, like actual research. I don't think so. But go on.
Right. So I would be super interested, and I'm truthfully, I don't have the time to search to see if this exists, but I would love to know the percentage of children, so anyone under the age of 18 that identifies as a transgender, and their involvement in sports. And I would say let's focus on team sports. we could get nitty gritty, right? But like, because so the way I think about it, right, is if you're involved in a team sport, you feel like you belong to a group, right? You feel like you belong somewhere. Like, this is my team. Your team could suck, right? I played football in high school and the team was absolute fucking trash. We won 5 games my senior year and it was more than like the previous 7 years combined. Like, but I still am like best friends with the kids that I played football with in high school still to this day. They're like the only friends I still really have that are close. Like, I'm curious as to the people that identify as transgender. Does any of it have to do with the fact that they feel like they don't belong anywhere? And by being transgender, now they're part of a group. Now they feel like they belong somewhere. Like, now they're no longer by themselves, right? Like, I'm just
I think I know what you're saying. It's
me.
like, it's kind of like, because the kids, and I've seen, what I think you're referring to is like kind of these kids that we went to high school with that were kind of like the lost souls, like the, I don't know, so like the emo
every
kids,
generation, every generation had their thing, right? Our generation, it was goth and emo.
There's a goth and emo,
and
and it's yes, and I without having obviously done the research, but I completely understand where that would be a thing, because all of a sudden you have something to belong to, you have a community, you have people that like share your same opinions and feelings on things, even though it's like and there's such a low barrier to entry on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all you need to do is
you don't even have to prove anything,
right? There's
like,
no,
I feel like a woman, I'm transgender.
There's no barrier to entry. You just say a couple words and you're in. And you're all automatically getting all this attention and special treatment, and and then you have part of that as well is like being able to speak out against the others who are
it's empowering.
Yes.
You're giving power to someone who normally feels powerless.
It's giving people that are probably look at themselves in like a victim mentality, some sort of power over something, whatever that is.
Because what made me just think of that right now was what Bob had just said, that he said he's never encountered that in the gym. And I mean, Easton is not a right-wing area. Like, Easton is very flaky, liberal, granola, you know what I mean? Like, and to not encounter that situation yet in a place where it would, by all statistical probabilities, be very relevant. That just like set a light bulb up in my head, being like, well, why? And then I thought like, well, he works with a special population that is athletes.
It's also a little different because I am a for-profit, private, specialized business. So,
right.
Your pool is very small.
Yeah, like that's the thing, is out of, if it's statistically low, like trans participation in sport, then my encounterments are going to be closest to zero, because I only get a fraction of a percentage of the area. And if that fraction is just if an already small number had just been fractioned, like,
now if you were the drama teacher or the music teacher,
you'll see him
in a different
different
situation.
So it's like, it's a very fascinating social experiment. Where like all it is it's observational psychology. You're not actually doing anything. You're just recording, like, where are these people? Where's the pool?
Well, I also think it's a hard, like, the sport thing's hard because in the NCAA they don't really know what to do, because any male that goes to female and then starts competing has been it's been comical to this point.
This is headed for disaster for sure. It's completely like taking, I'm trying to think of an analogy, like a nuclear bomb to fucking Title IX.
Really, I forget where I heard it or what podcast I was listening to or whatever, but someone was talking about like the full blown like transgender absolutists are actually misogynistic. Like at its
Yes.
core,
Yep.
like at its core, that is misogyny, right? Because like it in particular, they were talking about Leah Thomas, right? And they were like, anyone that would sit there and look at Leah Thomas, who was like a 6'3" jacked dude, who then, like you said, low barrier to entry, is like, I'm a woman now competes as a woman and absolutely blows the fucking doors off of everything. That is detrimental to women. Like that is misogyny.
That's your toxic masculinity, bud. Like it's a complete masculine flex on women. That's all that is.
Yeah.
I don't know about other like sex. I don't know, but sports women are the only ones who suffer for that.
Yeah.
Biological women, just so we're clear.
Sorry.
What is a woman?
Yeah,
we don't know.
It's true.
Now
Matt Walsh made a whole movie about that.
Let's change gears here for a second. Do you guys deal with like homeless populations where you live? Do you have homeless populations?
Nope.
Not
really. No.
You're lucky.
I was to say, so obviously the city has it.
Right. I definitely see them.
Do you mean Boston? What do you mean for city?
Boston.
Okay. Of course.
Yeah.
So Boston has it bad, and then I think there might be 2 homeless people in Dedham, which is a Boston suburb, which is next to where I live. So other than that, no.
Okay. So that's been a big hot topic up here for a while. And they just, again, reading and cutting out articles in the newspaper. So the city of Concord just had to spend $35,000 or $36,000 cleaning up a homeless encampment. Now we're like, I'm not talking about Skid Row type stuff, but it's like, let them stay there for long enough, and that's what it will be. It's like massive communities of tents and
it's not a tent city yet, but it's a tent village.
I mean it is. It's more like like a tent village. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's like a tent village. Yeah. So you'll get like clusters of these things.
It's a tent HOA.
So like you'll get clusters of these things on different, in the woods. They're always near rivers. But like, and
in a
the
van
city
down by the river.
Yeah. The city allows these things to go on for essentially through the summertime. And then it's always like in the fall, they go in and clean them up.
Right.
And then they have to have these professional cleaning crews go in at the price tag of, $35,000 to the taxpayers of Concord, because they have to go in fucking hazmat suits because there's shit everywhere. And I just saw that they're projecting the next one they have to do in another area of the city that's like $66,000. Like, I don't understand like what. And I get it. Did you listen to the not the most recent Rogan, but the one where he talks to Max? No, that's not his name. What the fuck is his name? The guy that does the documentaries. Soft White Underbelly.
No,
That's
truthfully, I haven't
fantastic.
listened to Rogan in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. Talking about the homeless stuff. And it's just, again, you guys aren't dealing with it, but it's something that like I see on a fairly regular basis up here.
Well, so we have like in Boston specifically, you'll get a couple people in the common, whatever. But down on Mass Ave I think technically it's Dorchester before you get to downtown. They call this the Mass and Cass Boulevard, or the corner of Mass and Cass, whatever the fuck. And they got the tents. They've got entire side streets. It's a fucking mess. And I think what they're just trying to do is just trying to keep it contained to that one area.
Yeah.
Because they tried to branch away, and that actually did get cleaned up and demolished. But like the homeless thing's interesting because I like there's thoughts that go through my head because number one, first and foremost, I'm like, this isn't right. What is happening is not right. Like they shouldn't just be like people shouldn't just be allowed to sit out there and do drugs.
Yeah. Why are you camping on the fucking sidewalk? That's like
that should be wrong. But when you let it get to a critical mass, now where are you going to put all these people? Because you can't put them all in jail. I don't.
And here's the thing, and this is where I start looking at it is like you're not getting it. This is an accumulation. This is not, oh, we're getting 15 people to move in at one time. This is a slow drip of one comes in, then another one comes in. Why aren't we shutting this shit down at one? Why are we even allowing this to happen?
Well, because then because ultimately what you get is what's happening in Boston. Now you can't do anything because
it becomes too much.
There are too many because they would overwhelm. Like they would overwhelm the prison system, the legal system, the police forces. I mean, there's fucking cruises there all the time now.
It's real bad over by BMC. Like there's Crosstown Ave and then obviously Mass Ave right there. Like that is because there's I don't think it's the Pine Street Inn, but there's some sort of homeless shelter right there on the corner, right across the street from Boston Medical Center. And so that's where they all fucking hang out because as soon as the doors open, they all go in, get their meals, whatever. And then they come out and then they just leave trash all over the fucking sidewalk.
They won't stay in those shelters though.
No,
so you can build
sober.
You could, right, there you go. So you can build all of the homeless shelters in the world. They're not going to get used because, this is going to sound harsh, but like there's addiction in every single one of them. These are not people that are down on their luck that lost their job or whatever. There's addiction in every single one of these people. And if it's not addiction, it's like severe mental illness.
Right.
And like, again,
there's a reason why they are chronically homeless, right? Like some people do get down on their luck, right? They get evicted from wherever and, they might become homeless for a little bit, but anyone that's willing and able most likely is going to find a way to, even if it's literally getting a job at McDonald's and living out of their car, like they'll do that over, sitting outside of the homeless shelter doing heroin.
It's wild, man. Like, and it's just the money that gets pumped into the I don't know what you would call it, like the homeless problem that they're trying to solve that's never been solved ever.
Yeah.
Because it's so multi-tiered. Like you can't it's not just about creating a place for these people to go. You have to treat their drug addiction. You have to treat their alcoholism. You have to treat their mental illness. You have to do all of these things and then strip them down to the base layer of maybe there's a human in there somewhere. And then you might be able to like get them back on track into like normal functioning society, maybe.
Right.
And how much money have you pumped into somebody to be able to do, even to get them to that point?
Yeah. It's interesting. So before I say the thought that I just had, that is basically Schellenberger's whole thing,
right?
Like with San Francisco, like the book that he wrote and all that stuff. Like the homeless problem isn't as simple as like, oh, just make more shelters because they're not going to stay there.
Even in Boston,
like you have to treat.
There's a bed
problem
for every homeless person right now in Boston.
Right.
But you got to be sober if you go, and that's the problem.
So the thought that I had was it's interesting how, and now to be fair, I was not alive during this time, but in the 70s and the 80s, I think it was mostly the 80s when there was that big push to close what we called them at the time was insane asylums.
I think it was before then. I think
that's
it was
1972.
1972.
It's a very like whatever. It's a non-PC term, but like fuck off. But like they were for colloquially known as insane asylums. They closed all of those in like sweeping fucking everywhere.
Yeah, they passed a law.
Right. And then all of a sudden, what happens? All of these major cities have massive fucking homeless problems. And it's like, well, did the homeless problems exist before? Yeah, probably. But were they as bad? I don't think so. And like I said, I wasn't born at this time, so I can't sit here and be like, yeah, when I was a kid, it was different.
No, so what happened then, I don't remember. I had to write about this a few months ago.
Was it
was the
Reagan?
70s.
The Reagan
I
administration?
thought it was Jimmy Carter.
Okay, maybe it was.
Either way, I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But so I will draw a parallel to this. So what they did was they released all of these people into society without having the infrastructure to be able to handle them. They didn't have the community mental health centers. They didn't have the doctors. They didn't have any of the stuff to be able to accommodate these people that were like, that's cool that you're not living in a mental institution right now, banging your head against the wall for 23 hours a day. But now you're in society, and now we don't have the capacity or the ability to deal with you. And you're essentially letting people that really, like, maybe they're not, because now the only way you can lock people up is if they're a danger to themselves or danger to others.
Right.
There's a lot of gray area in between that for people with mental illness, that maybe they're not a danger to themselves directly or another person directly, but they really can't fucking take care of themselves either.
Yeah.
And so the parallel that I'll draw is how the Biden administration is now saying, or was it with the electric vehicles? Like, they're saying no more gas powered cars. Is this just California? Is this all? I think it's just California by 2035.
I think, California
Okay,
by
anyway.
2035.
So we'll take Biden out of it.
Massachusetts wants to do something.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say,
that soon,
I think this is the push that Biden wants to go to. So actually, in California, where you're saying no more gas powered vehicles as of whatever year it is, that's great, but you're taking these steps to eliminate that before you have the proper infrastructure in place. So
Right.
I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen, but you are putting the cart way before the horse with any of this shit. Like, you have this great idea and you're trying to make that happen and implement all of these things when you haven't set it up correctly to be able to do that.
Right. What it should be is by 2035, we want to make sure we have infrastructure across the state to support a statewide system. And then once that's achieved, then we'll reconvene and vote on making gas powered cars illegal. You know what I mean? And like, that's the logical way to do it.
And this is the thing with like him shutting down the pipeline, like his first or second day in office, whenever it was. It's like you're already like taking these steps and trying to roll back these things in anticipation of getting your Green New Deal passed or whatever it is, but you're not taking care of it on the back end.
Right.
Like, you're not setting it up correctly. You're just, no, we're not doing this anymore. I don't care that we don't have the ability or the ability or the technology to do this right now at cost. But we're gonna fucking do it anyway. So fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You almost like make decisions on the outcome without
it's the ideal
taking the steps. So it's like, all right, well, gas powered cars bad. It's like, all right, so what should we do? Ban them. It's like, no, what you should do is make sure that production is high, make sure that there's charging stations enough anywhere, make sure you can get rid of those fucking batteries, make sure you can make the batteries, like,
and it's cost effective.
Like that's what all of those things, like, you got to do 25 things before you can ban the gas cars. But it's like, it's almost like the like fallacious, is that like a fallacy, like whatever, fellatio, the fellatio way of thinking.
Nailed it.
The fellatio way of thinking, where it's like some people, like in business, they're like, oh well, if I had to make all this money, I would, but I don't have to make it. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, and people are like, well, if I have this, like, if I have these big bills in this big building and whatever, it's like, it'll really force me to have to make the money. It's like, no, it's going to really force you into fucking debt. Yeah. That's what it's going to fucking do. But it's like that same idea where it's like, they just go for the end result and then be like, yeah, well, we'll get there. Now we have a deadline. Now we have something to work towards. It's like, you guys are so fucking stupid.
Yeah. It really is. It's all of that. It's people being stupid, is putting the cart way the fuck before the horse. And you're literally doing nothing other than setting yourself up for failure. And then you can I suppose, turn around at a later date and be like, point the finger and be like, I told you so. Or like, point the finger and be like, oh, you guys are just gas shills, or, like shit like that. Or like, if you had been more on board with this, it would have been able to work.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, because we passed the legislation, we tried.
Yeah,
it's like,
this will fail, and then they'll be like, "Oh, the fucking Republicans didn't,"
Yeah, exactly. People are really fucking dumb.
I feel like I've been dominating the conversation here. Bob, what do you got going on?
I don't even know. I don't even know what I have going on. I got
there hasn't been like a lot really going on, like in the world, other than like, obviously like the Twitter files. But like, I feel, well, maybe it's just because I've been so fucking busy with work in the last week, but like, I haven't heard really much of anything other than the Twitter files in the last like week.
Well, see, the only thing that's kind of going on that I keep track of is what's happening with sports betting in Massachusetts, and nothing's happening.
Yeah,
they keep meeting and not doing anything. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, I mean, elections are over, holidays are coming. It's kind of like I guess it's an in between time.
You guys asking for the new Trump NFT cards?
Are we still doing shit like that?
He just released them like the other day.
Yeah. $99 a piece or something.
He came out and said, I have a major announcement. On
did you
December
watch the
14th. No, I didn't.
Oh my God.
I might have actually.
Oh my God.
I think I might have saw it on Instagram. It was like him as like Superman.
Yeah, with the lasers coming out of his eyes.
Yeah. So there was like this whole thing. Oh, I have a major announcement on December 14th. Major announcement. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to run for president. All this like, oh, yay, yeah. And then he's like, I'm selling NFTs. And it's like, wow, dude, like, talk about piss poor timing. Like, the crypto market literally just fucking crumbled like 6 weeks ago. And like, now you're going to come out and say you're making NFTs. Like, NFTs were so 2021.
He's like, so what I think has happened with him. I mean, he's become such a, even for him, he's become like such a caricature of himself. It's almost like before he does anything. I mean, that was part of like the draw to him, was that he's so like just fucking wild and is very off the cuff and doesn't think before he talks. But now it's almost like you can almost see himself asking himself, like, what would Donald Trump do here? You know what I mean? Like, like, it's almost like it's so forced now. It doesn't seem, I don't know, man, that's just, maybe he was just out of the spotlight for so long and now he's kind of back in it. And I don't know. He doesn't seem to have the same, just kind of like the Trump magic that he had. Not that I'm a Trump fan, but it seems like it's so forced and so like regurgitated now. It's like he's playing himself.
Yeah. I definitely see that. He has become a caricature of himself.
Yep. And I think everyone's starting to get more and more fed up with him too.
I think most people are all set with him, actually. I actually saw this in my email the other day from the Roca News. It says that Ron DeSantis leads Donald Trump for the Republican presidential nomination. So, I guess he already announced. Trump already announced he's going to run in 2024. DeSantis hasn't yet. So Trump already announced he's running. DeSantis hasn't announced yet whether or not he's running, but 52% of likely Republican voters. So this isn't just Republicans. First, they asked them, would you vote in the primary? And if they said yes, 52% of those people would vote for Ron DeSantis versus 38% would vote for Trump. And that was in the Wall Street Journal. Yep. And a USA Today poll had 56% in favor of DeSantis and 33% in Trump. So DeSantis has not even declared yet, and he's polling 20 points higher than Trump. People are all set with him.
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
time to
fucking
move on.
want him.
Yeah,
It's-
and just wait.
you have to move
once
on.
and once DeSantis does announce his run, Trump's gonna go fucking nuclear again, and that'll be the end of that. It'll be 60 and 27.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the time of ridiculous politics has gotten to the end. I think people had their fun in 2016, and then 2020, obviously the pendulum swung the other way. And I think at this point, people are like, you know what? It's been 8 years now since we've had like a legitimate president. Like, I think we need to go back to having like a real actual president.
Let's settle the fuck down.
Yeah, yeah. Because say what you want about Obama, right? Like I'm not particularly fond of him. I don't think he got a lot done actually in his presidency, but I don't think he was a bad president either. But like all that aside, he was a fucking statesman. Like he was the type of dude that like when he stood at a podium, you were like, that's the fucking president of the United States.
He was shaking hands with real people.
Yes. Yeah, he wasn't turning around trying to shake the hand of a guy that he already shook when he walked up to the podium and then looking for a ghost. So but yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like he was a legit, like he carried himself as the president, right? Like as most of the presidents before him did. Like Bush was very presidential, although he, you know, say what you want, he was a little bit of a doofus, but like he wasn't like Trump or Biden. You know, Clinton, even though he liked to get blowies under his desk, like he was presidential, right? Like he carried himself well. Again, he wasn't like Trump or Biden. So it's like, I think people are ready to go back to like, just give me, I don't even give a shit if he's a piece of shit politician. Like, just give me a guy that's vanilla, because I'm all set with like the crazy guy one way and then the other guy that's crazy the other way and doesn't even know what day it is. Oh. They're just different versions of incompetence, right? Like, yeah, so it'll be interesting to watch as it unfolds. So with that, do you want to wrap this up? It's about that time. Do you have a final thought?
I do. So I just saw on Twitter, we have a state rep from New Hampshire, who's I think from the western part of the state. He's got 3 new bills that he's trying to get co-sponsored. One of them is to essentially shut down, block the social emotional learning stuff that's going on in schools right now. There's another one that is trying to block the use of digital currency. And his third one, which I think is the most interesting, is he is trying to get essentially wokeism classified as a religion. So he's got this like 2.5-page bill that essentially lays out the similarities between religion and like Marxism. And it's fascinating to read. It's there's a lot of big words. I will not say that I understood the entire thing. But it's interesting that there's somebody like this guy is obviously, you know who James Lindsay is?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously big James Lindsay fan. Because this is the stuff that James Lindsay has been saying. Like, if you want to get rid of this woke culture, you have to get it deemed a religion, because then you can't have the state adopted religion of wokeism, and then you can, you know, put it off with everybody else.
Right. That's a very interesting way to go about it.
But he says, like, so religion is a faith-based system with a particular worldview with roots in, or not roots in, but like explanations in metaphysics of what's that word? I can't read it. Oh, theories of knowledge, presuppositions about nature of existence, reality, human experience, consciousness, and some explanation of like a utopian afterlife. There's some more to it, but essentially like all religions have variations of those things. Um, and he says Marxism is essentially like the dialectic explanation of all of those things. You break them into two pieces, and that's how Marxists explain things, I guess. It's and so like the ultimate goal in religion is to get to heaven, right? Like you behave a particular way, you follow these guidelines to get to this utopian like heavenly space, whether it's heaven, whether it's the 72 versions, whatever it is, there's all sorts of like variations of this. And the way that the Marxists interpret this is like if we could just get rid of X, then we will be a more utopian society. So if we could just get rid of transphobia, if we could just get rid of toxic masculinity, if we just get rid of racism, we will end up in this utopian society. And they tell their own version of history through this like this critical lens of everything, using conflict theory. So like it's always the Marxists, it's always about the oppressors and the oppressed, and they're telling their version of history through that lens. And it also, like religion, there's no free will, or at least the religions I'm familiar with, it's all fate based, and oh, God wants this, and this is God's plan for you, and everything. And so what the Marxists do is that they smash that idea of free will, because you are who you are, either based on your privilege or your whatever intersectionality you choose to identify as. So you are a cisgendered white male, you obviously are a privileged person, you are one of the oppressors, whereas somebody else who does not meet those qualifications and standards, not standards, not the right word, but like those identities, is going to be oppressed by you. There's the power structure, and all hierarchies are bad and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then they have this same sort of concept. There's a whole bunch of shit. I just kind of picked off some of the more interesting ones that I thought. This concept in religion that like religion was used and is still used to explain things that were unexplainable in science. So you have like Jesus walking on water and Jesus turning water to wine. Like those are not things that can actually happen.
No, those definitely happened.
Right. Sure. Immaculate conception, all these fun things.
Yeah, that also definitely happened.
But now we're at a point
it was the
where
Holy Ghost.
Yeah. But now we're at a point where like we're going, what's a woman? You know what I mean? Like just this we can't even use science to explain the things that have been explained for, I don't know how long it's been since we've known the difference between a man and woman, but like it's just all these, and it's like I said, it's a very interesting read. But it's to me, like I've been following James Lindsay for a long time, and sort of like I've got one of his books. He's got a new book coming out, and I follow him and listen to his lectures. I've spent probably 50 to 75 hours just listening to him talk about this stuff, and it's interesting now to see it in practice with an actual politician who's trying to like, we're taking a step in, at least I'm not saying it's the right direction, but it's a direction to say, hey, wait a second, this is a fucking problem, and we need to like address this, because we are adopting, this is what I'm saying, I'm seeing all these articles in the newspaper, and if you know what to look for, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So he's already in office?
Yes, he's a congressperson.
Is he
state rep?
So he proposed these bills like to the
floor? He's trying to get a co-sponsor. So he just posted it on Twitter, and one of the guys that shared it was the band Bob All That Remains.
Yep.
So Phil Labonte is a New Hampshire resident, and Phil like shared it. That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
And then I actually tagged Dan Holloway in the post, so I think he'd find it interesting. And then Phil liked my tag of Dan in the tweet. Anyways, but Phil was like super libertarian, fucking
yeah.
But it's just it's interesting, and we'll see.
So that's cool. I mean, it's
not
cool
going to go
that
anywhere.
We have a congressman that's actually willing to, kind of put his balls on the table.
Yep.
And be like, we need to do something to fix this. Yep. Like you said, it's a direction, right? Like
it's
at least,
yeah.
Like it's something. It's not someone that's just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to work here for the next 4 to 12 years and collect my paycheck and then go work for a private company that paid me as a lobbyist. You know what I mean? Like it's refreshing, at least, to hear that he's trying to do something with his job.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I know it's not really a final thought, but just I thought it was interesting and kind of feeds into the stuff we were talking about before.
Yeah. All right. Bob, you got a final thought?
Yeah. So I know I told you when you were over yesterday. So yesterday morning, Michaela gets an email from our condo association. And the way where we live is structured, it's not exactly like an apartment complex. It's not exactly townhouses. There's a main building with condos. There are 4 townhouses attached to it. And then there is a standalone house by us. And then there's another structure. I think there's one more standalone house and then like another structure that might be condoed. So it used to be a monastery, and that's why it's all fucked up. So it's not just like one building when you pull in the driveway. So it's like all this random shit.
You live in an old monastery?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
So we get an email out that there was a hunter on the property. This is from one of the residents. There was a hunter on the property, full camo, whatever, gun, don't know. And the hunter drew on her dog, who was out like taking a shit, until she like yelled over to him, like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I'm tracking a deer through here. There's blood in the grass." And I guess he kind of just like made his way, and then eventually she filed a police report. So I don't have all the details. It was just an email. So she, because she emailed over and was just like, "Oh, I just want to let everyone know it was like this is what happened."
She's saying that the hunter pointed his gun at her dog.
Yep,
that didn't happen.
So
100% didn't happen.
Now, some facts of the case, because a lot of this doesn't make any sense. Number one, this is a black lab, probably under 2 years old. So there's a black lab and there's a fucking deer, right?
Yeah.
They don't fucking look alike.
No. Nope.
Both of them have 4 legs, a torso, and a head. Yep. I'll give you that.
One of them stands at about 2 feet. One of them stands at about 5 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. So one, I'm thinking here, why was this hunter, why did he draw on a dog? So Chris, as you say, now I'm not a hunter. I don't know anyone who hunts. I understand that. So I guess here's the other side of it. So when we're in Vermont, they're all golden doodles. So they're all the same color as a deer, effectively. And they wear the vest because they see movement. They think the hunter could potentially shoot, whatever. It's just a safety precaution. So they wear the vests up there. I can understand why they wear the vests. But if a hunter sees a dog, they're not good. I don't think they're going to shoot a dog.
This lady, like 50 something years old?
Probably 50 something, 60 something.
Yeah. Yeah. Old white women are the fucking cause of all the problems in the world.
So I don't think I want, like, to be fair, I don't think this guy drew on the dog. Because the other thing too is the way the email read, or the way at least I read it, was that he was drawn on the dog, like ready to shoot, and then she had enough time to stop him from shooting. It's like, no.
Nope.
If he was gonna shoot that dog because he thought it was a deer, he would have shot that dog.
This is absolutely a fucking made up story. None of this is true. This lady saw a hunter and got freaked out because she doesn't like guns and decided to call the police.
So, and that's what I'm, so that the other thing too is, like, what I'm trying to figure out is, it doesn't make sense that a hunter would draw in a he is in a residence. Like, in one. And
like, you can very clearly see
like
homes,
structures.
buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'm confused at is where he really came from, because it's not that, like, we're surrounded by streets. And
My question is also, how many other complaints has this woman filed? Because this is not the first one.
that I don't know, because
Yeah.
I think they're fairly new to the place, because I remember.
And this will not be the last one. You are going to hear more from this woman. Ask me if I've done this before, right?
Yeah.
We've played this game.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's your job.
Right? I don't know this woman from a fucking hole in the wall. This never happened. None of this happened.
Well, so when I first heard the story last night, I was asking the questions like, my first thought was it actually a hunter? And I was like, do you know, like, were they wearing like blaze orange and in camo, or was it like some dude in like jeans and a t-shirt? And this was, because like, that's not a hunter. That's like a fucking psycho person.
Yeah, that's
like, so it's like one or the other things has to be true, right? Like, if it was a hunter, he didn't fucking draw on the dog. But if it was like a dude in a fucking t-shirt and jeans, I don't know, maybe he could have.
Yeah.
But like, because he's not a hunter.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't describe that person as a hunter, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's
right. You'd be like, some psycho is in the woods.
Yeah, this is
with a gun.
This is all fake.
And that's one, you don't send the email out first.
Did she send the email like collectively to everyone in the condo association? So she sent that out
to
as a warning to everyone, like, hey, I saw this hunter.
Yep.
Yeah, this is fake.
Like, this is what I saw.
100% not real.
So, and then I'm like,
put a stamp on it.
And it's like, we do have deer on the property, but again, no one's stupid enough to fucking bring a rifle or a shotgun.
Amount of fucking hassle that you Massachusetts residents have to go through to get a gun, to even be able to like walk around and not get shot. There's no way this happened.
No, because it's also not deer season anymore here. Deer season closed on the 10th. But then obviously people go.
Is it turkey season though?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, he said he was tracking a deer, or the lady sent the email saying he was tracking a deer.
Yeah. So what's he's drawn down? This is the story. Sees the dog, draws down on the dog with his rifle, has some conversation with the lady, and then says, "Oh, I'm tracking a deer." As she's yelling at him to don't shoot my dog. Is that what happened? That's what she's saying?
Effectively.
Yeah. Okay.
It definitely happened.
All right.
So I'm trying to figure out like what the fuck exactly went on here.
Nothing.
Because I
stay away from that lady, because that's gonna be a problem for you.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I tried not to like talk to anybody. Like, I don't want anyone knowing anything about me. I don't want anyone talking to me. Nothing. But the only thing is now it's like when I walk Leo outside, and like if the dogs are running around, like I'll let them run around. And then it's always like, what's he again? It's like, shit.
What time of day was this? Do you know?
Early morning.
Okay.
So I think I was at work when she emailed me. So, or when Michaela texted me the screenshot. So probably happened around 7:30.
So that's the other thing too. Like what you had just said was, hunters are some of the most like law-abiding people that there are. Now, there's gonna be there's gonna be scumbags everywhere, just because people are the fucking worst. But like, if you want to talk about like a population of people that are not going to do stupid shit with guns, it's hunters, right? Like, they're very like respectful of their craft, and like they do what they do. Like, hunters don't just go around shooting dogs.
And then like some people are like, oh, well, maybe he came down from Blue Hills. And it's like, so you're telling me that a hunter in full camo came down 138, like what, gun latched over his shoulder? And no one saw that. No one saw the man walking down this main road just to end up on our property to draw on your dog. I don't know.
Was this like a, I guess it went to Michaela's email, but do you know if it was like a reply all situation where like it turned into like a thread where people
might
like,
have been.
oh my God, I can't believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
I assume
I'd like to
so.
see the Facebook post on that as well,
Yeah.
because she definitely posted that on Facebook.
Yeah,
I am very curious to know the resolution of this.
there won't be one.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if there's any sort of like,
Oh yeah, if there's any more, it's like
yeah,
Yeah.
the other thing too. She's
And-
probably go, I filed a police report. No, you didn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what, yeah. I'm so curious.
Yeah. So that's people. That's people for you.
And I'm telling you right now, there will be more problems with this lady. I guarantee you 100%. This is not the last time you're going to hear from her. There's going to be some other incident that she's involved with. It is going to be someone like approaches her at her car and like tries to kidnap her, or like just some other bullshit. Or and then she's gonna she's gonna think that people are targeting her, like people are gonna like leave shit on her door, or her doorstep or something. Just pay attention. This is just my prediction. This is what's gonna happen.
Like I said, it's almost like you deal with this shit
Yeah.
all the time.
Yep. This is not the last time you've heard from this woman. What's her name? Like fucking Candace or something?
I don't even know.
That's good
Cheryl.
too. 50, 60-year-old white woman. You just nailed the demo right out of the gate too.
100%.
Actually, can I sketch her out for you?
Yeah.
Dude, I yell at my mother all the time. My mother's in her 70s now, but I'm like, you realize you people are the fucking cause of like everything bad in this world. Just fucking old white women. Just whine about everything.
Yeah, I said my mom made a comment about something around like Thanksgiving. She was like something about commercials or like there's only like it was like TV shows and commercials now are only all black casts. She's like, why? Like, why is it only all black people now on TV? And I was like, well, one, you sound super racist when you say that, so I hope you don't say that in public. And two, like,
first of all, mom, check your privilege.
Yeah. It was like, I was like, you sound like a fucking old white woman, like complaining
You just sound like,
about
well, that's
dumb
the thing.
shit.
You sound like an idiot because
Yeah.
you know that isn't it.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not having this conversation. I literally just said, like, I said exactly what I said there. I was like, that makes you sound super racist. So I hope you don't say that in public. All right. So my final thought, it's a relatively quick one. I finally saw Top Gun 2, like 2 weeks ago now. And holy fucking shit. That was really,
Freedom Boner.
It was really good. Yeah. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it yet.
Dats, have you seen it?
No, I never actually remembered the first one, so I never was really super motivated to watch the second one.
Yeah, so I rewatched the first one because Amy had never seen it. So we watched the first one, I don't know, maybe like 2 months ago. And we were like, oh, we have to watch the second one now. We're gonna watch it. And then it left the theaters, and then we didn't watch it. And then I rented it on Amazon. It was like $5 or whatever. But like I said, we finally watched it 2 weeks ago. It was really fucking good. Miles Teller is in it.
He's fantastic.
I love Miles Teller. I think he's phenomenal. He gets a bad rap because he's not a Hollywood conformist. He's, publicly been a little bit conservative. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do like
He's the Chris Pratt.
Yeah, he is very much like Chris Pratt.
Yep.
So he gets passed over for a lot of things, but it's just politics basically, and it's fucked up because he's phenomenal. Dude, Tom Cruise, he's still got it. He's fucking weird. He's creepy. Scientology. He probably drinks baby blood and all that shit. But like, the guy can fucking act. Like he is something else. There was like a weird. They did something. I'm not going to spoil it, but like, they did something really weird with Iceman. But Val Kilmer, his character, that I was like,
did they make him have a stroke? Because that's what he looks like.
Kind of. Yeah, they give him like weird like health issues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you didn't
Vaccine
need
side
that.
effects.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't need to. You didn't need to do that. Like, yeah, I just felt like it was a little bit of a stretch for like the whole like what the movie was.
Dude.
So, well, we
Speaking
know
of-
he looks like shit, so let's address this.
Yeah,
You didn't
Yeah.
need to. You could have just let it go.
No.
And
Yeah.
we would just sit here and be like, hey, he looks like shit.
I was so disappointed. The other day I made a Days of Thunder joke in a room full of people that are all younger than me, and no one got the joke. I was like, oh, you motherfuckers. One of my favorite movies. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but just
so yeah, that's one I watched. I feel like I watched it in college, and that was like the first time I ever saw it.
It was one of the ones of like the 5 movies that my brother and I had on repeat when we were growing up.
Yeah,
fucking classic.
It's like a race car, right? He's a race car driver.
Yeah, he's a fucking race car driver.
Yeah.
Cole Trickle, buddy, get the fuck out of here.
Yes. Okay. Like I said, I watched it in college for the first time ever, and I probably haven't watched it since.
Dude, is Val Kilmer in that one too?
He might be.
Fuck.
Is he also a Scientologist? Are they boys?
I don't know.
Because he's not drinking the same
baby
blood
I'm
that
gonna
Tom
go
Cruise
down a
is
rabbit hole.
drinking.
I don't mean to steal your man, I feel like who the fuck is
no, Robert Duvall, Randy
Carrie
Quaid.
Elwes. That's what it is. It's the dude from that's what I was thinking of. The dude from Princess Bride is in it.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah.
Sorry.
That's the guy. Does look a little bit like Val.
Yeah,
Kilmer,
I had a moment there.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So yeah, Top Gun 2, definitely worth the $5 to rent it on Amazon. It's a solid fucking watch. Yeah. There's at one point where like the movie could have ended, but they continued on and for like another half hour, but like it worked. I mean, there was when you watch it, you'll know, because that like things happen and you're like, wow, like that's how the movie's gonna end, and then like the screen cuts to black, but then there's like another 30 minutes of movie. But like I said, that it's not like holy shit, this movie should have ended a half hour ago. It's like, okay, this is still pretty good.
Is the soundtrack comparable to the first one?
It's basically the same.
Really?
Do they drag K-Log out of
so they did a little bit of Letterkenny humor, where it's literally the same exact situation from the first movie.
Is there another volleyball scene?
Yes, there is. Yeah. So like there's a lot of it is like literally the same fucking movie.
That might piss me off. I don't like when they do shit like that.
But it's actually pretty good. Like it's funny. I enjoy shit like that. Like I enjoyed Letterkenny, and I think it's like a subtle like joke, right? That maybe like the directors and the writers, like when they did it.
That's a Canadian show, right?
Yeah. The Letterkenny show. But yeah, it's good. But like I said, if you watch Top Gun and then immediately watch Top Gun 2, you're gonna be like, this is like the same fucking scene. But so yeah, the sound, like I said, the soundtrack's the same. They play Kenny Loggins. So I mean, you can't have that movie and not play Kenny Loggins. No, that would be like making a new Rocky and not putting Eye of the Tiger in it. Yeah. Like that's fine. It has to be in it. So yeah. So that is going to do it for us.
We'll have to get together again. We have we got the 2023 Death Pool.
Yeah.
To participate in again.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's coming up. We are almost done with December.
Fairly shortly.
Yeah. We'll have to rally the troops.
I know we should get like, not that I'm telling you how to run your shit, but like we had a few people on last year for that, right? There was like
there was like 5 of us.
Yeah. There should be the same. We can do that again. That's fun. That's a good show.
I think we did terribly this year.
Yeah, I don't
like
think
for having 5 people, like 5 chances at it. I think we did absolutely fine.
Yeah, nobody got Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
Have we hit anything this year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The girl Christine McVie passed away.
Yeah, you had Joe Rogan, Machine Gun Kelly, and Ringo Starr.
Yeah. That's right.
Mike had Queen Elizabeth, so I guess that technically hit. We allowed it. I think someone did it the year prior, but Mike wasn't part of that the year prior, so he hit that. He also had Antonio Brown, Jimmy Carter, and Jake Paul.
Is Antonio Brown, speaking of, has he been fucking arrested yet, or is he still having a standoff in his fucking house?
Yeah, that was wild.
That was the same day as Kanye.
Yeah, no one was talking about Antonio Brown because Kanye was so fucking nuts. Jones had Marv Albert, Judge Judy, Bob Dylan, Howard Stern. None of them kicked. Bob, you had Henry Kissinger, Marsha Hunt, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, and Kanye. You had that's a sleeper pick,
man.
Who knew? Then I had Tony Bennett, Maggie Smith, Lamar Odom, and Noam Chomsky. Did Noam Chomsky die?
No.
Did
Tony Bennett die?
Tony, I don't know. Did he die?
Man,
he's like 96.
I also forgot that I took two fucking old people.
Yeah, Tony Bennett is still alive. He is 96 years old. He'll die next year. So yeah, I took Maggie Smith, who was Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter, and then Robbie Coltrane died, who was Hagrid in Harry. I picked the wrong fucking person from the Harry Potter series.
Still got however many days left here. What is it, 18? You get
yeah.
13 days left here.
Well, Kissinger's still alive. These people are both going to die on fucking January 1st. Oh, Marsha Hunt's dead. Let's fucking go.
Oh, you hit.
She died on September 7th, 104 years old.
Who is that?
I don't know.
104? You picked a 104-year-old lady? There's no victory lap on that one.
We didn't even know she died.
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
She was an actress.
In what? Casablanca? Like, what the fuck was she in?
Silent films?
Born to the West, Pride and Prejudice.
Nope.
Kid Glove Killer, Cry Havoc.
These aren't real movies.
Human Comedy, Happy Time, Johnny Got His Gun.
Oh.
I mean, she also was an actress for 80 years, so.
Yeah, that's... Johnny Got His Gun is the movie that, or at least I believe so. No, don't listen to me. Fuck me. I don't know. Never mind. Disregard.
Yeah,
right.
she started doing movies in 1935, and her last like actual movie was 2008.
Wow.
No, I'm right. Yeah, it's that's the movie that Metallica pulled all the scenes from for their one video.
Oh.
Where the dude gets all of his limbs blown off and he's still conscious, but he can't fucking
do anything.
Yeah. But he's still aware of all things that are happening to him.
Yep.
Anyways, I read that book. Sorry, didn't mean to do it.
No, we're good. So where was I? Did I say anything yet about
Top Gun?
Follow us, subscribe to us, like, rate, review, give us a thumbs
Sponsors.
up. Yeah, well, we love our sponsors. MyBookie.com. Use the promo code SarcasmPod when you sign up to double your first deposit up to $1,000. They're pretty awesome. I took some money from them this weekend, thanks to the Raiders and the Pats game. You can also go to grillyourassoff.com. Use the same promo code SarcasmPod to get 15% off your order every single time you check out. They're great. I use them almost every single time I cook. They got all kinds of other cool shit there that you can get 15% off of. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. We're on the Twitter sphere at Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook page is just Sarcasm Speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Go buy some merch and get our logo. You can get literally anything you want with our logo on it. I think that's it. Until next
real quick.
time. Yeah.
Can you see my shirt? It's just for you, buddy.
That's not true.
Until next time. Good night.
See you guys.